بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. My dear brothers and sisters, salamullahi alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today's Quran reflection is taken from Surah to Yusuf, the chapter of Joseph. This is a surah which we recited last night in Taraweeh, and it is a very powerful and profound surah from the Quran. Regarding the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, it is ahsan al-qasas. It is the best of stories. Now, why is it the best of stories? Is it because it's the most entertaining story? Though the story is entertaining in terms of the narrative, it's compelling, but the reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls it the best of stories is not only because of the profound and vivid storytelling in the Quran, rather it is because of the immense lessons, the values, and the morals that can be extracted from this story. So whenever Allah mentions stories in the Quran, it's always for the purpose of giving lessons to the people. It's never for the purpose of just telling a story for the sake of a story. The story is judged by the value, the lessons, the morals that are found within it. So Surah to Yusuf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions a number of principles in that surah. So one of the principles and one of the parts of the story we're going to focus on today, insha'Allah, is the part where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the seduction incident, where Yusuf alayhi salam, the Prophet of Allah, was seduced by Zulaykha, who was the wife of the minister who was looking after Yusuf alayhi salam when he was taken as a slave when he was young. Now imagine the situation. Yusuf alayhi salam is young, he has strength, he has youth, he has beauty, he's extremely beautiful, and being a human, he has natural desire. And Zulaykha was known as one of the most beautiful women of the land too. And what she did, she took him into a secluded place. She went into a room, she locked all of the doors, and they are now in seclusion, and there is no cameras, there is no master, there is no friends, there is no family, absolutely no one is watching. In terms of physically, no one is there, nor is there CCTV footage, any chance this news could be leaked out. Absolute seclusion, doors are locked, no cameras, nothing, no one will know. And she invites him to an evil act. Now imagine, put yourself in that situation. She is the most beautiful woman, extremely beautiful, a sought after woman. And he is a young man with strength, with vigor, with beauty, and natural human desire. Even prophets had natural human desire. And the Quran even mentions, وَلَقَدْ هَمَّتْ بِهِ وَهَمَّ بِهَا, that she intended to do evil with him, and he may have even inclined towards her because of the natural desire. لَوْلَا أَرَّآ بُرْهَانَ رَبِّهِ, if he did not see a sign from his Lord. From this we learn a principle that having a natural inclination towards certain things is not wrong. If you're young, even if you're not young, to have natural human inclination and desire to beauty, it's not a wrong thing to have desire. It's normal, it's part of being a human being. But the important thing is how you control that desire, how you react to that desire. Do you act on those desires and impulses which are normal, part of the human self, part of the nafs, the animalistic nature of the soul that sometimes calls towards its carnal animalistic desires? Do you now practice upon it in a forbidden way, or do you control those desires and practice upon them in a way which is pleasing to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So in that moment, Yusuf alayhi salam, he did not rely on himself. This is an important lesson too. When you're in a difficult situation, don't rely on yourself. You need Allah's help. So what does Yusuf alayhi salam say? He says, Ma'adh Allah, I seek Allah's protection. This evil that she is calling me towards, he may have even inclined towards it. Allah help me in this moment. From this, the lesson is when we are in difficult situations in life, when we are faced with a choice between goodness and evil, between khair and sin, there's a desire and it's presented itself towards you, and you have the opportunity to practice on that desire. Even more so when there is seclusion and privacy. Mom and dad won't find out, friends won't find out, you're in a faraway place, you're in the darkness of the night, or maybe you're on your mobile devices, and the opportunity presents itself, or shaitan whispers a thought to you that do this evil, give in to temptation, give in to desire, watch this thing, do this thing, message this person, go to this person. At that moment, don't rely on yourself, because if you rely on yourself, you may fail. Because we are all human beings and we all are weak. We all have natural desires. In that moment, turn to Allah like Yusuf alayhi salam did. Oh Allah, you know what I'm feeling right now. You know what desires are raging within me right now. Allah, protect me from this evil. Show me a way out from this evil. This is what Yusuf alayhi salam did. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected him to such an extent. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused the locked doors to unlock themselves. And Yusuf alayhi salam was saved. Even afterwards, when Zulaykha attempted again, and she brought him out in front of the women, then she said to him that if he doesn't do what I command him, I'm going to put him into prison. Even in that moment, he turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help and support. And he said, Rabbi qad ataytini min al... He said, I would rather go to prison. He said, I'd rather go to prison. As-sijnu ahabbu ilayya, than to come towards this evil. Again, he only was able to have that conviction, but I'll rather go to jail than practice upon this desire, because he had turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help in that moment and in that situation. So this is a very important lesson for us, and particularly the young from among us, that you're going to be faced with temptation. It's going to happen. If the prophets faced it, then who are we? We're living in times of fitna, times of difficulties. The environment is not great. Let's be honest. When you go to school, there may be friends or people who will invite you towards certain evils. Online, in the community, you see people doing certain things, and your natural human nature is going to incline you towards it. Right? Sometimes it will even present it to yourself on a plate. Someone will come and present themselves to you for evil. Right? And you didn't want anything to do with it, but they came to you. You didn't do anything. It even happens today. Right? I have a friend, Hafidh al-Quran, Imam. He went to Scotland for university. He goes, within his first week there, he never got involved with this stuff. He goes, someone came and presented themselves to him to do an evil act, like Zulaykha, and he had nothing to do with it. And he goes, in that moment, he was thinking of Yusuf alayhi salam. That this is the situation. He didn't want it, but it came to him. That you have to turn to Allah in such a situation, because the human self might trick you in that moment and make you want to do the evil. So the important lesson is, my dear brothers and sisters, particularly the young from among us, whenever you're faced with temptation, you're on that screen and you feel like typing that wrong thing or looking at that wrong thing, then say ma'adallah. Turn to Allah. Allah, help me. Allah, you assist me in this moment. Protect me from this evil. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you that protection. Even if it may take some practice. You might fall for it once or twice or 3 times. But eventually, if you keep on thinking, Allah is watching me, Allah is assisting me, eventually a point will come where you will stop the sin. You say, you know what, Allah is watching me, I have some shame. How long am I going to continue doing this? Even if it takes years and years and years and years, a time will come where you'll wake up. We've all heard the famous story of Fudayl ibn Iyad. He was a notorious highway robber. And he used to climb up a wall where there was a woman he used to love, and he would go there and look into her window. And one day he made an intention that he's going to do something evil with her. So he climbed up the wall to do something evil. And while he was on top of the wall, he heard a voice reciting a verse from the Quran. أَلَمْ يَأْنِ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَن تَخْشَعَ قُلُوبُهُمْ لِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَمَا نَزَلَ مِنَ الْحَقِّ. That has the time not come? Has the time not come for those who believe, that when they hear the Quran, that their hearts tremble from the fear of their Lord? He said, when this ayah hit my ears, it struck me. It struck me. And I got down from that wall and I repented, and I never turned back to that again. And the same individual became one of the greatest scholars of Islam, such that when you open the books, you will find that قَالَ فُضَيْلَ قَالَ فُضَيْلَ قَالَ فُضَيْلَ, and his wisdoms are being shared. So if a man who was involved in so much evil, he was a notorious robber, he would rob people on the highway, can become a great saint of Allah, there's also hope for us. You know, whatever sins we've done, leave it in the past, turn to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you will see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will elevate your ranks in this world and the akhirah. May Allah give us the ability. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyil kareem, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. We have a few minutes for dua, inshaAllah.